Chapter 11. Although Manhwa was not a genius, he had some aptitude, otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to become a messenger. He had read the wondrous gate saber art before. And in his eyes, this kind of saber technique was just an ordinary martial skill, yet today, this move in Xianxia's hands possessed terrifying power. Xianxia's words made Manhwa unable to fully believe, yet he had witnessed it with his own eyes. He couldn't help but ask. No matter how strong a martial skill is, it cannot compare to a Dao technique. Martial skills are merely its branch. In fact, even now, he still hadn't completely believed that Xianxia could use the wondrous gate saber art to kill a cultivator at Yuanguang's level. But clearly, he had witnessed the event. Xianxia didn't explain Manhwa's disbelief further, saying leisurely, "This depends on whose martial skill and Dao technique it is." Manhwa naturally couldn't know that although the wondrous gate saber art technique originated in the mundane world, it was later modified by Minrin, immortal emperor. So even though this kind of saber skill couldn't compare to an emperor art, it was more than enough to deal with other ordinary Dao techniques. Manhwa was surprised. If he had previously thought Xianxia was ignorant and arrogant, now, upon reconsideration, he saw that Xianxia was not such a person at all. His seemingly casual actions were enough to show that he had planned everything beforehand, grasping victory firmly in his hands. Manhwa looked at Xianxia strangely. He himself was the kind of person who yielded to the strong, shrewd and clever, with a little ability to read people's minds by looking at their expressions. But the 13-year-old Xianxia in front of him made him instantly unable to comprehend. 13 years old, this age in the cleansing incense ancient sect meant a disciple who had just joined not long ago, often easily emotional. But Xianxia gave others a sense of depth like the great sea, tranquil like still water, very hard to describe. A few days ago, Xianxia was still holding the cleansing incense ancient token, demanding to become the chief disciple of the cleansing incense ancient sect, solely based on him having a mortal fate, mortal longevity wheel, and mortal physique. Let alone the 6 grand elders, even Manhwa thought Xianxia had no future. When he first interacted with him, he even felt that Xianxia seemed to have a mental illness coupled with an arrogant and self-important nature, ignorant and fearless. But after interacting with Xianxia for the past few days, now he understood that the things he considered arrogant and ignorant were simply natural for Xianxia. While Manhwa was still surprised and confused, his master, Protector Mo, was in an indescribable state of distress, killing a disciple of the 9 Saint Demon Gate. And it was Yuanguang who was highly regarded by Protector Su. This matter would surely bring disaster upon the cleansing incense ancient sect. A great disaster. Protector Mo was at a loss, saying, "Forget about the assessment, we're going back to the sect." At this moment, the 3 of them at the 9 Saint Demon Gate were no different from being in a dragon's lair or a tiger's den. The 3 of them fundamentally had no way to resist a colossal monster like the 9 Saint Demon Gate. At this moment, Protector Mo only had one thought: run. Run away from the 9 Saint Demon Gate, run back to the cleansing incense ancient sect. It's just a small matter, why run? Xianxia, as the person involved, remained completely calm, lying sprawled on the chair, slowly saying, "To me, no place is safer than the 9 Saint Demon Gate." Protector Mo stared at Xianxia. Xianxia's ignorance and arrogance made him want to slap him a few times, but with disaster imminent, he had no interest in disciplining Xianxia. "What do you know?" Even a man of few words like Protector Mo couldn't help but curse. "You think that just because you were lucky enough to kill Yuanguang, you've become invincible under the heavens. You don't know the true power of the 9 Saint Demon Gate. Forget about the elders or the demon emperor, just one protector is enough to contend with our 6 grand elders. The 9 Saint Demon Gate wants to kill us, it's easier than crushing an ant." These words only spoke the reality of the situation. The 6 grand elders of the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect would only be conferred the title of hero if they were placed in the upper kingdom, comparable to a protector of the 9 Saint Demon Gate. Not to mention their elders. And the Demon Emperor of the 9 Saint Demon Gate, he was a person who created unparalleled miracles in the past 30,000 years. According to legend, the Sunwheel Demon Emperor's strength was unfathomable. Protector Mo doesn't need to be afraid. Xianxia said calmly. It's just the 9 Saint Demon Gate. If we were outside, maybe I would be a little worried, but now, on the contrary. Let's see who crushes whom. Heroes and marquises, how are they enough to achieve the Tao? Xianxia's arrogant speech infuriated Protector Mo. The 6 Grand Elders of the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect were only conferred the title of hero, and now a young brat who had just joined the sect and knew nothing about Tao techniques dared to say that heroes and marquises were not enough to achieve the Tao. You. Protector Mo really wanted to slap this brat. Just then, there were noises outside. Manhwa's expression changed. He hurried out to check but ran back very quickly, saying in dismay, "Not good, the courtyard has been sealed off by the 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples." Protector Mo's expression also changed. He quickly stood up, just as several people walked in. Led by the same Hallmaster Fu, whose face was now extremely ugly. "Brother Fu, this matter is just a misunderstanding." Seeing Hallmaster Fu approach with a cold face, Protector Mo knew there was no escape. He took a deep breath and prepared to face the music. "Misunderstanding? Then go explain it to our junior nephew Su." Hallmaster Fu coldly snorted, turning his body slightly. A young man stepped out beside him. This young man was wearing golden yellow clothes, with a shimmering blood energy around him, and a faint golden light radiating from behind his head. This person was only 20 years old but had an astonishing aura. As soon as he saw him, Protector Mo couldn't help but shiver. The young man in front of him had likely reached the true fate realm. To reach this realm so young, he was truly formidable, remembering how it took him 50 or 60 years to reach that level. This is junior nephew Su Hui, Protector Su's chief disciple. Du Yuanguang was about to be taken in as an apprentice by Protector Su, and now he is dead. Junior nephew Su wants to seek justice. Hallmaster Fu said coldly. Su Hui stood up, his pupils flashing with golden light, his aura astonishing, like a sword just unsheathed. His aura was very overbearing, as if he wanted to devour people alive. Su Hui was naturally much stronger than Du Yuanguang. Even if he wasn't considered a peerless genius, he was a very accomplished disciple in the 9 Saint Demon Gate, already capable of handling matters on his own. A life for a life. Blood debt must be paid with blood. There's no need for further discussion. Su Hui said coldly, his eyes like those of a ferocious beast, staring intently at Xianxia, looking as if he wanted to tear Xianxia into many pieces. Protector Mo quickly mediated. "Fellow Daoist Su, there's a misunderstanding in this matter. My sect's disciple didn't intentionally kill virtuous nephew Du. It was just an accident. A life for a life." Su Hui said sternly. "No negotiation. Your Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect immediately hand over the criminal. Don't continue to make mistakes. Otherwise, it's your Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect seeking your own demise. Be careful of bringing about the disaster of sect destruction." Su Hui was merely a third-generation disciple. Protector Mo was, after all, on the same level as Hallmaster Fu. In terms of position, he was on the same level as his master, Protector Su, yet a mere third-generation disciple dared to be so aggressive and threatening. Furthermore, Protector Mo, as a protector of the sect, naturally couldn't let the disciples of his sect be torn apart by others. Therefore his expression changed, and he said in a deep voice, "Junior nephew Su, right or wrong still needs to be judged fairly." "Judge?" Su Hui smiled coldly. "There is no judgment in the 9 Saint Demon Gate. Daring to kill a disciple of the 9 Saint Demon Gate can only be atoned for by death." "No wonder. Just then, Xianxia slowly stood up, stepping out calmly, glancing at Su Hui. No wonder the Nine Saint Demon Gate is filled with a foul atmosphere, so it's because of foolish people like you. As soon as Xianxia finished speaking, both ManhwaSummary and Protector Mo were instantly speechless. ManhwaSummary screamed inwardly. My ancestors, would it kill you to say one or two words less? You pointed directly at Su Hui, and called him foolish. Isn't that just adding fuel to the fire? Your words alone are enough for you to die 1,000 times. Su Hui was furious, his killing intent surged. Before finishing his sentence, he lunged one hand towards Xianxia. Protector Mo himself was a protector of the cleansing incense ancient sect. Naturally, he couldn't let Su Hui run wild. He took a long stride, reaching out a hand to firmly grasp Su Hui's hand. Protector Mo, don't continue to make mistakes. At this moment, Hallmaster Fu, who was standing to the side, said coldly, his whole body shimmering with a dazzling light. He took a step forward, blocking Protector Mo, his aura suppressing Protector Mo, making it hard for him to breathe. Protector Mo's expression changed. Hallmaster Fu, who was conferred the title of hero, was much stronger than him, unless an elder intervened. Otherwise, their cleansing incense ancient sect had no way out. Hallmaster Fu, is this the hospitality of your Nine Saint Demon Gate? Protector Mo couldn't give way, regardless of what kind of person Protector Mo usually was. At least when standing in front of the enemy, he was absolutely someone who preferred to cover for his subordinates. Hallmaster Fu was cold. If you hand over the criminal, you are still a distinguished guest of the Nine Saint Demon Gate. But if Protector Mo thinks that your cleansing incense ancient sect is strong enough to be an opponent of the Nine Saint Demon Gate and dares to continue sheltering the criminal, I'm afraid not only will Protector Mo himself find it hard to survive, but even the cleansing incense ancient sect will face the disaster of sect destruction. Sect destruction. Xianxia, who was pushed aside at this moment, smiled faintly, saying, the Nine Saint Demon Gate is too arrogant. If there is to be sect destruction, it will be your Nine Saint Demon Gate. Protector Mo and ManhwaSummary couldn't help but glare at Xianxia. With imminent death approaching, he was still talking so arrogantly. A person who had just arrived at the Nine Saint Demon Gate for only a few days dared to talk about destroying the other sect. He was truly insane. ManhwaSummary had just felt that Xianxia was somewhat profound and unfathomable, but at this moment, he found him to be so ignorantly arrogant that it was infuriating. Xianxia fundamentally didn't want to look at Hallmaster Fu and Su Hui anymore. He walked out, as if strolling through a deserted place, saying, I don't care who is the current master of the Nine Saint Demon Gate. Whether it's the Demon Emperor or a true person. You want to follow the rules? Then follow the rules. If you don't want to, then don't. I'll take it all. Today, here, I will slaughter the Nine Saint Demon Gate, sending you down to meet the old geezer. Good. Good. Well said for an ignorant brat. Now this lord will first pull out your tendons, then peel off your skin. Let's see how you will destroy my Nine Saint Demon Gate. Su Hui was so angry that he laughed. This was the funniest thing he had ever heard in his life. He had never seen a person so arrogant and ignorant before. At this moment, Protector Mo and ManhwaSummary were both extremely embarrassed, wishing they could dig a hole and crawl into it. Xianxia had never practiced any Dao technique, yet he dared to loudly demand the destruction of the Nine Saint Demon Gate. This was truly too foolish. Currently, the Nine Saint Demon Gate was an extremely powerful sect in the Central Great Territory, controlling a vast kingdom. How many people could slaughter them? Xianxia didn't care about Su Hui's words, nor did he bother to glance at him. He just calmly walked out. Su Hui was so angry that he almost spat blood due to Xianxia's arrogance. He shouted furiously, Beast! Die! As soon as he finished speaking, his sword also slashed towards Xianxia. Stop! Just then, a solemn voice like rolling thunder resonated across the sky of the Nine Saint Demon Gate. Incredibly authoritative. The sound of rolling thunder made people's hearts unable to resist. That voice, even Su Hui and Hallmaster Fu couldn't help but tremble, their limbs went weak. Grand Elder. Hallmaster Fu heard the voice, trembling with fear. He didn't expect such a small matter could alarm the Elder's location. Fair duel, being killed, one can only blame themselves for lacking skill. The voice of the 9 Saint Demon Gates Elder boomed across the sky. This incident shocked many disciples, and even high-level protectors and hallmasters of the 9 Saint Demon Gate. Such a small matter could alarm the Grand Elder, it was truly unusual. Protector Mo and ManhwaSummary also trembled in their hearts. This was the Grand Elder of the 9 Saint Demon Gate. According to legend, this person was a true person. In recent years, the Cleansing Incense ancient sect had continuously interacted with this sect. Even the sect master personally visited the 9 Saint Demon Gate. However, the elders of the Cleansing Incense ancient sect could hardly meet the elders of the 9 Saint Demon Gate, let alone the Grand Elder or the Sun Will Demon Emperor. Today's incident could alarm Elder Yun, the Chief Grand Elder. It must carry a different meaning. The in-law relationship between the 9 Saint Demon Gate and the Cleansing Incense ancient sect is a sect rule. The Grand Elder did not mention De Yuanguang's matter, that thundering voice resonated again. However, marriage is not a joke. The Cleansing Incense ancient sect wants to marry the successor of the 9 Saint Demon Gate. They must prove they have enough strength. Hearing the Grand Elder's words, Xianxia said calmly. Finally, the 9 Saint Demon Gate has someone who dares to take responsibility. Of course, if you follow the rules, I will also follow the rules. Aren't you trying to test me? Very well, I accept. No day is better than today, let's proceed today. Whether I marry the successor of the 9 Saint Demon Gate or not is my business, but anyone who dares to look down on me must be taught a lesson. Saying that, he walked outside. Xianxia's arrogant speech, even Protector Mo and ManhwaSummary wanted to kneel down and beg him not to be so brazen. If he continued like this, no matter how thick his skin was, it would tear. Both of them regretted accepting this task immensely. It was difficult for the Grand Elder to intervene and resolve the trouble with Du Yuanguang. If it were someone else, they would have seized this opportunity to back down, turning a big problem into a small one, and a small one into nothing, creating a good relationship with the 9 Saint Demon Gate. Even if they couldn't marry Li Xuangan, it wouldn't matter. But Xianxia was still brazen enough to demand to teach them a lesson. He truly didn't know his limits. Both Protector Mo and ManhwaSummary felt that Xianxia was overly arrogant. Then let's choose. Today. After the Grand Elder finished his authoritative words, no other sound was heard. Su Hui was shaking with anger. Xianxia was so domineering, overbearing, and arrogant. He wished he could chop Xianxia to death. Daring to provoke and look down on him, he wished he could cut off Xianxia's hands and feet, making him wish for death. But he dared not defy the Grand Elder's command. This lord awaits you. I will make sure you wish you were dead. Su Hui said resentfully and led his people away. Truly ignorant of the immensity of heaven and earth. After Hallmaster Fu led his people away, Protector Mo absolutely forbade Xianxia from going out again. At this moment, he no longer cared about his protector status, he just grabbed Xianxia and dragged him back. Protector Mo. Do you really need to be so afraid? Xianxia, after reluctantly being dragged back to the inner courtyard, pushed Protector Mo's hands away, asking. Protector Mo was shaking with anger. Staring at Xianxia, wishing he could hit him, but for the upcoming assessment, he had to suppress it, angrily saying. You fool! You are truly seeking your own death. Even if you want to commit suicide, don't drag the Cleansing Incense ancient sect down with you. Protector Mo is exaggerating, it's just a small matter. Xianxia replied calmly, he fundamentally didn't consider the recent events a big deal. Protector Mo couldn't restrain himself anymore, trembling and saying, You. He said you for a long time, choked for words. This was Xianxia making him so angry. He couldn't breathe. ManhwaSummary also couldn't say anything. He felt that Xianxia was crazy, being so arrogant was truly beyond cure. He just wanted to slap Xianxia. He lamented. Senior brother. Do you know how powerful the 9 Saint Demon Gate is now? Many of their protectors are qualified to be conferred the title of Marquis. Not to mention the elders and the Sun-Wheel Demon Emperor. The Sun-Wheel Demon Emperor alone could destroy our cleansing incense ancient sect with just one hand. Just now when their Grand Elder spoke up to resolve the Du Yuanguang matter, you should have taken the opportunity to back down. Whether you marry the 9 Saint Demon Gates princess or not is a small matter. If you could build a relationship with their elders, it would be good not only for yourself but also for the cleansing incense ancient sect. You could also use this matter to make a great contribution. ManhwaSummary shrewdly analyzed the pros and cons for Xianxia. So what? It's already done. Besides, I prefer to solve things with my fists. Xianxia said indifferently. Of course, Xianxia couldn't reveal his secret. If the 9 Saint Demon Gate didn't follow the rules, he would seize this opportunity to stir up the internal workings of the 9 Saint Demon Gate. Although he had agreed with the 9 Saint Great Sage that year, if his descendants didn't know their place, Xianxia would gladly clear them out. And in doing so, he would also borrow the inner substance of the 9 Saint Demon Gate. ManhwaSummary glanced contemptuously at Xianxia, not wanting to talk anymore, feeling like he was playing the lute to a cow. Xianxia was useless and foolish, he didn't want to interfere anymore, it was just a waste of saliva. ManhwaSummary secretly scoffed. Just with your little bit of martial skill. Even if you were lucky enough to kill Du Yuanguang, it means nothing compared to the 9 Saint Demon Gate. Relying on a little bit of strength yet daring to speak so arrogantly, preferring to solve things with fists. ManhwaSummary thought that after Xianxia luckily killed Du Yuanguang, he had become overly confident, considering himself invincible. Under the heavens. Protector Mo was also choked with anger, finally only saying resentfully. You better focus on the assessment and follow the rules. If you cause trouble again, you don't need to return to the cleansing incense ancient sect. At that time, no one will be able to save you. If the 9 Saint Demon Gate isn't safe, then other places aren't safe either. Xianxia smiled casually and said. Protector Mo was so angry he almost spat blood. He was like ManhwaSummary, not wanting to talk anymore. It was like pouring water on a duck's back. This fool wouldn't know the immensity of heaven and earth without a lesson. Both Protector Mo and ManhwaSummary were in a state of mutual fury. This assessment was held on one of the main peaks. On the 9 Saint Demon Gate side, there wasn't even an elder present, the two people presiding were protectors. One was Protector Su Hui's master. The other was the Chief Grand Protector, Yu He. The strongest protector of the 9 Saint Demon Gate. A dazzling light shimmered around Protector Su, making him look as if he was made of divine gold. The Grand Protector was even more terrifying. His Marquis aura radiated powerfully, his blood energy surged. This was absolutely an extremely powerful Marquis. Reaching this level, he could command wind and rain with a slight gesture. The referees on the 9 Saint Demon Gate side were Protector Su and Grand Protector Yu He, and on the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect side was Protector Mo. At this moment on the main peak, countless young disciples came to watch the commotion, surrounding the area 3 deep, packed tightly, not even a fly could get through. The alliance between the two sects, naturally the most opposed group was the young male disciples, so their voices were the loudest. Li Xuangan was the goddess in their hearts, the princess of the 9 Saint Demon Gate. A small sect like the Cleansing Incense fundamentally wasn't qualified to be in-laws with them, let alone a mortal with mortal physique, mortal longevity wheel, and mortal fate palace like Xianxia. This kind of person wasn't even worthy of carrying the 9 Saint Demon Gate princess's shoes. A person who had just arrived at the 9 Saint Demon Gate for only a few days dared to talk about destroying the other sect. He was truly insane. ManhwaSummary had just felt that Xianxia was somewhat profound and unfathomable, but at this moment, he found him to be so ignorantly arrogant that it was infuriating. At this moment, all the young disciples of the 9 Saint Demon Gate gathered together, their morale soaring. Countless people were filled with towering rage. Especially when they saw Xianxia appear. Their eyes looked as if they could shoot fire. Butcher him, how dare he come to the 9 Saint Demon Gate to cause trouble? He truly doesn't know life from death. A disciple shouted loudly. Another disciple said coldly. Just killing him is too easy for him, chop off his limbs, use his head as a sky lantern to light. Humiliating the 9 Saint Demon Gate, even death 1,000,000 times is not enough. Use his head as a sky lantern. That's too merciful. Our 9 Saint Demon Gate rules the ancient Ox Kingdom, our might shakes the entire central territory. A mere ant dares to speak boastfully and humiliate our princess. We must lock him up on Vulture Cliff, let the vultures peck at him for 100 years, let him suffer 100 years of torment, use his fresh blood to die. Vulture Cliff read. Another disciple shouted furiously. Not only kill this beast, we must also destroy the cleansing incense ancient sect. Another disciple yelled crazily. In just a short time, the shouts of kill shook the sky, a crowd filled with fury. Some disciples even wished they could rush forward and tear Xianxia apart. He dared to insult their princess, and even declared he wanted to destroy the 9 Saint Demon Gate. This had made them consider him a mortal enemy, wishing they could mince him into pieces. They wanted the people of the world to understand that the divine might of the 9 Saint Demon Gate could not be insulted. Regardless of whether it was Protector Mo or ManhwaSummary, they couldn't help but tremble with fear. They were afraid that with just one shout from the 9 Saint Demon Gate protectors, Xianxia would surely be rushed by the 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples and torn into tiny fragments. The shouts of kill shook the sky. The rage of the 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples seemed to want to engulf this place. Yet Xianxia was completely unconcerned. He walked casually, his steps leisurely as if strolling through a deserted place. Extremely arrogant, utterly overbearing. Although Protector Mo and ManhwaSummary both thought that Xianxia had been forced into madness, having become ignorantly arrogant beyond cure. But at this moment, Xianxia's courage earned their respect. Facing the roaring waves of public anger, confronting the wrath of countless 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples, if it were anyone else, they would likely have fainted from fear, let alone remain as composed as him. Just then, the Chief Grand Protector Yuhi coughed lightly. His light cough sounded like divine thunder, exploding, immediately suppressing the shouts of killing below. The surging Marquis aura weighed down, making everyone find it extremely hard to breathe. The Chief Protector spoke. And the disciples dared not resist, everyone fell silent. But countless eyes still stared intently at Xianxia. If eyes could kill, Xianxia would have died countless times. At this moment, Protector Su's eyes were like sharp swords, staring intently at Xianxia, saying ominously, if you can pass this assessment, the two sects will become in-laws as per the ancestral teachings. If you cannot pass, or lose your life, then you can only blame yourself for lacking skill. Evidently, Protector Su was very dissatisfied with Xianxia. As a protector, he couldn't personally act against Xianxia. But if he could, he wouldn't mind crushing this ignorant and arrogant ant. Xianxia sat down generously on the chair, then slowly turned to look at Protector Su, smiled, shook his head, and replied, I can only say that the 9 Saint Demon Gate is not what it once was. Why did the 9 Saint Great Sage make that promise back then? Why did the 9 Saint Demon Gate and the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect become in-laws back then? At that time, the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect was revered by the world, conquering the 9 worlds. It was simply because you're 9. Saint Demon Gate wanted the protection of the cleansing incense ancient sect, seeking support to develop. Xianxia didn't want to dwell on those trivial matters from the past because at that time, his condition wasn't entirely stable. Back then, the 9 Saint Demon Gate's intention to become in-laws with the cleansing incense ancient sect wasn't entirely the will of the 9 Saint Great Sage and Minran Immortal Emperor, but rather the self-initiated action of the disciples of the 2 sects. Speaking of this, Xianxia glanced at Protector Su, continuing. Now the times are different. So you no longer want to acknowledge the promise made that year. It seems that your generation is inferior to the previous one. Humph, Protector Su sneered, his voice cold. You yourself said. Times change. If we talk about one generation being inferior to the last, that statement should be directed at your cleansing incense ancient sect. Today the 9 Saint Demon Gate rules the kingdom. And there are many Emperor tradition upper kingdoms that want to become in-laws with us. How is trash like you worthy of the 9 Saint Demon Gate's princess? Although Protector Su humiliated the cleansing incense ancient sect in front of the disciples, Protector Mo and ManhwaSummary felt uncomfortable hearing it, but their side was weaker, and Protector Su's words were also the truth. The cleansing incense ancient sect today truly couldn't compare to the 9 Saint Demon Gate. Let bygones be bygones, arguing won't change anything. Chief Grand Protector Yuhi spoke up. Our 9 Saint Demon Gate gives the cleansing incense ancient sect a chance because of the promise made that year. If you're afraid, you can leave now. Our 9 Saint Demon Gate won't make things difficult for you, and that promise will also become void. Since I've come here, I must naturally take the challenge. Xianxia said leisurely. I wonder how you intend to conduct the assessment. Just say it, I'll take it all. Truly ignorant of the immensity of heaven and earth. Protector Su coldly snorted. The 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples in the distance became even more enraged, glaring fiercely at Xianxia. A trash person who only knows martial skills, yet dares to boast shamelessly, this person doesn't know life from death. A disciple was angry and indignant. If it weren't for the protectors being here, they wouldn't have been able to resist rushing forward to beat Xianxia to death. Your Dao attainment is too low, so the princess has granted you a chance. The first round is a literary test, the second round is a martial test. And the third round? The Chief Grand Protector spoke up. 2 rounds are enough. Xianxia interrupted Yuhi, saying. How will the literary test be, and how will the martial test be? Tell me. Audacious. Xianxia was being so aggressive and unruly. Protector Su roared, his aura surged like waves crushing towards Xianxia. What's wrong, already wanting to make a move before the test? Xianxia's eyes narrowed, staring intently at Protector Su. Just then, Chief Grand Protector Yuhi coughed lightly, cutting off Protector Su's aura. This made Protector Su glare at Xianxia even more resentfully. He could crush this frog in the well with just one finger, never before had such a bug dared to act up in front of him. The literary test is very simple, enter the confused heart forest, the person who goes the furthest is the winner. The martial test is even simpler, a one-on-one duel to determine the winner. There are 3 rounds to the assessment, as long as you win 2, the 2 sects can become in-laws. Yuhi's eyes shone brightly, slowly speaking. Good, very straightforward. Let's have the assessment. Xianxia said without reserve, standing up. Whether it's the literary or the martial test, let me see how capable your princess is. TSK, Su Hui said contemptuously. Just you. You're not qualified for senior sisterly to act. To drive away useless people like you, I'm enough. Yuhi nodded slightly. I heard you haven't been in the cleansing incense ancient sect for long. So our 9 Saint Demon Gate doesn't want to bully you. If the princess personally acted, I'm afraid you wouldn't even have a chance to enter the arena. In the 9 Saint Demon Gate. In terms of talent, the princess is number 1. In terms of strength among the younger generation, chief disciple Ling Qingfeng is number 1. If we let the two of them assess you, you wouldn't accept defeat. Junior nephew Su has average aptitude in the 9 Saint Demon Gate, relying on his strength to evaluate the cleansing incense ancient sect's chief disciple doesn't. Disgrace your status. The 9 Saint Demon Gate not sending out their strongest disciple to challenge, meant they had given the cleansing incense ancient sect a ray of hope. If the 9 Saint Demon Gate's strongest chief disciple, or Li Xuangan personally acted, forget about the chief disciple, even the elders, or even the sect master of the cleansing incense ancient sect would undoubtedly lose. Li Qia didn't even glance at Su Hui, only looked at Yu He and nodded solemnly. So your 9 Saint Demon Gate still has some hope. Although you broke your promise, at least you still have some face, at least you maintain a little demeanor. Very well, you yield 1 step to me, I will yield 1 yard to you, so you won't say I bullied the 9 Saint Demon Gate later. Li Qiya's continued. Arrogant speech made Protector Mo and Nanhui Ren's faces flush with embarrassment. They only wished they could dig a hole and crawl into the ground. They just wanted to beg Li Qiya, Lord Li. Would it kill you to boast a little less? To be this foolish is truly pathetic. At this moment, the 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples were truly both angry and amused. Some people sneered, saying, the cleansing incense ancient sect is not only declining, but also crazy, letting a lunatic be their chief disciple. Hee hee, what kind of emperor tradition immortal gate is this? Truly disgracing their 18 generations of ancestors. Many disciples who were originally angry couldn't help but laugh. Li Qiya was so blindly arrogant, this wasn't just stupidity, he had to be crazy. The mocking laughter of the 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples made Protector Mo and Nanhui Ren unable to lift their heads, they didn't even dare to look at people. Protector Su curled his lips in a cold smile. A bug being this foolish was truly sad. A person like you, he had experienced too many storms, but at this moment, looking at Li Qiya, he felt like he was seeing a bizarre anomaly. He couldn't understand how someone could be so stupid. Even the most trashiest of trash would hardly be that foolish. Could it be that Li Qiya didn't know the power of the 9 Saint Demon Gate? Or does he have no concept of strength? This made Yu He couldn't help but laugh. Today he truly met a prime example of stupidity. Yu He finally managed to collect himself, coughing lightly. Then let's start with the literary test. Enter the confused heart forest, the person who goes the furthest is the winner. Seeing the assessment begin, everyone couldn't help but move towards the confused heart forest. In an instant, countless 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples surrounded the outside of the forest. Humph, enter the confused heart forest. What can that useless guy from the cleansing incense ancient sect do? Outside the confused heart forest, the 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples were scoffing. Another person chimed in. In the previous assessment, senior brother Su went to the 5th level of the confused heart forest. Now he has reached the true fate realm, preparing to comprehend the halo realm. His Dao attainment and Dao heart are much stronger than before. I think going to the 7th level is not a problem. The cultivator realms from low to high are shattered palace, vigorous pillar, body tempering, palace building, Vipfbapk life, true fate, halo. Nirvana, heavenly origin, divine seed. Reaching the invincible realm, accepting the heaven's will, would be the immortal emperor. If there are no immortals in the world, where would the emperor ruling all immortals come from? But there is a saying among mortals, my fate is mine, not of heaven. The heavens will primarily binds and restrains immortals. Therefore, when cultivators reach the peak, their pursuit is to control the heaven's will, personally accept the heaven's will, truly reaching the state where their fate is their own, not of heaven. Only an immortal can control the heaven's will, and an emperor is long-lived. Therefore an immortal emperor is a long-lived immortal who controls the heaven's will. Whether immortal emperors are truly immortal is still a mystery. One era only has one heaven's will. One era can only have one person become an immortal emperor. At this moment, most of the 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples were gathered outside the confused Heart Forest, discussing this matter. In their eyes, Xianxia was not a worthy opponent in this round of the competition. A person who only practices martial skills doesn't even have a Tao heart. What can he use to enter the confused Heart Forest? Someone said contemptuously. The confused Heart Forest was where the 9 Saint Demon Gate tested the talent, root of wisdom, and Tao heart of its disciples. In this place, the most important thing was the Tao heart. This place was very vast, with a total of 14 levels, appearing no different from an ordinary forest on the outside. However, this confused Heart Forest was personally created by the 9 Saint Great Sage, the founder of the 9 Saint Demon Gate. If someone intrudes, the confused Heart Forest will generate lifelike illusions. Even a wisdom eye cannot break the illusion, unless you are stronger than the 9 Saint Great Sage of the past, otherwise, the illusions here are reality. For example, when entering the confused Heart Forest, you might hallucinate being in a sea of fire. Furthermore, you would feel as if you are truly immersed in the sea of fire, your whole body being burned by the fire, capable of feeling the pain very clearly, and the deeper you go, the more intense this suffering becomes. Of course, you can unleash cultivation techniques to resist this suffering. And you can also use supreme cultivation techniques to stop the blazing sea of fire. However, it cannot help you pass through the confused Heart Forest. Only a person stronger than the 9 Saint Great Sage can use cultivation techniques to completely stop all illusions directly passing through. You ignorant brat, hurry up and go in. Outside the confused Heart Forest, Su Hui sneered, looking down on Xianxia. He had great confidence in the literary test, and was sure he could charge into the 8th level of the confused Heart Forest without any problem. Xianxia looked at the confused Heart Forest, smiling faintly. The old geezer personally created the confused Heart Forest that year. It truly was a place to temper the Tao hearts of the disciples. Me? Xianxia slowly said. The confused Heart Forest holds no meaning for me. If I go in, I'm afraid you won't even have a chance to compete. You go first to avoid saying I didn't give you a chance later. Xianxia's continued arrogant speech made Protector Mo and ManhwaSummary tremble with hate, only wishing they could lock his mouth. Would you die if you boasted a little less? Always showing off. Fool. Protector Su coldly said. A trash person who doesn't even know what a Tao heart is, yet dares to boast shamelessly. Su Hui was shaking with anger. A mortal physique trash dared to look down on him like that. His anger turned into laughter, saying, Good, good, such big words. I want to see how many levels you can pass. How many levels? That's meaningless, passing through all 14 levels is not a big deal. Xianxia slowly said. That's why I agreed to let you go in first, to spare you the blow. Humph. Xianxia's arrogance made many 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples unable to bear it. A disciple coldly said. Are all people from the cleansing incense ancient sect so shameless? Boasting without blushing. Protector Mo and ManhwaSummary didn't know where to hide their faces. They wished they could leave right now. They knew the 9 Saint Demon Gate's confused Heart Forest very well. Being able to reach the 7th level was already quite an achievement. A young disciple entering the 7th level needed an extremely firm Tao heart, or extremely high Tao attainment. Chief Grand Protector He couldn't help but shake his head. Why did the cleansing incense ancient sect take in such a prime example as their chief disciple, passing through all 14 levels of the confused Heart Forest? Was it that easy? Even he didn't have the strength to pass through all 14 levels of the confused Heart Forest. 14 levels? Su Hui couldn't help but burst into laughter, mocking Xianxia. If you can pass through all 14 levels, I'll call you father. I don't have an unfilial son like you. Xianxia looked at Su Hui and said leisurely. Su Hui misspoke, being taken advantage of by Xianxia. He immediately flared up, coldly staring at Xianxia, saying, "Good, since you spoke so arrogantly, do you dare to make a bet with me?" "A bet? What kind of bet?" Xianxia smiled, asking back. Su Hui sneered, saying ominously, "If you can pass through all 14 levels, I automatically concede defeat. If you fail, then kneel down and crawl between my legs." Su Hui's bet made Protector Mo and Manhwa turn pale. This wasn't an assessment, this was using an excuse to humiliate Xianxia, and also to humiliate the cleansing incense ancient sect. But they could only shake their heads. This was Xianxia bringing the humiliation upon himself. "If I pass through all 14 levels, what then? Will you crawl between my legs?" Xianxia glanced and said with a calm smile. "You." Su Hui was provoked by Xianxia. His face turned red with anger. "If you can pass through all 14 levels, he will kneel down and crawl between your legs. If you fail, you crawl between his legs." At this moment, Protector Su spoke up coldly. Xianxia killed Du Yuanguang, and he wished he could personally crush Xianxia. Since he couldn't kill Xianxia now, humiliating him was also acceptable. Xianxia turned to look at Protector Su, then seriously nodded, saying, "Very well, since you want to bet like this, I agree. Senior brother Su, humiliate him, bet with him." The 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples shouted. Outside, Su Hui looked at Xianxia ominously, coldly saying, "I'll wait for you to kneel down and crawl between my legs." Saying that, he turned and walked away, entering the confused heart forest. This time the cleansing incense ancient sect has completely lost face. Their chief disciple has to crawl between senior brother Su's legs. Hee hee. The 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples laughed oddly. Protector Mo and Manhwa both turned their faces away, not wanting to watch any more. It would be a miracle if Xianxia could defeat Su Hui, passing through all 14 levels of the confused heart forest. That was preposterous. They wished they could leave right now. If Xianxia truly knelt and crawled between Su Hui's legs, the cleansing incense ancient sect would truly be utterly disgraced. At this moment, Protector Mo suddenly felt hate for Xianxia, wishing he could discipline him. Su Hui stepped into the confused heart forest, and immediately the area in front of him darkened. He had stepped into a ghost domain, a vast land of 10,000 miles, with ghost energy soaring to the sky, countless skeletons rattling, and corpses crawling out of the decaying earth. Su Hui took a deep breath, circulating his Dao technique, maintaining his Dao heart, ignoring the ghost domain, and slowly walked inward. The first level. Outside, everyone watched Su Hui in the confused heart forest intently. Without any hindrance, Su Hui quickly passed through the first level, the second level, the third level. Su Hui was truly impressive, his Dao attainment and Dao heart were both excellent. He passed through the first 3 levels very quickly. At the 4th level, his speed began to slow down, because the white bone ferocious ghosts of the ghost domain began to attack him. At first, he could ignore them, but being snapped at his hand several times made him groan miserably in pain, his body instinctively fighting back. Out. When reaching the 5th level, Su Hui was completely immersed in the ghost domain. He roared, unleashing a treasure. A divine sword rushed straight to the sky, and genuine chi spewed from his mouth, the genuine chi hanging down as strands of dharma that swept away everything around. A longevity wheel appeared behind Su Hui's head, his blood energy covered the sky. He unleashed unparalleled dharma, continuously fighting and advancing. Senior brother Su has cultivated the great sage life technique, fierce saber art. Seeing Su Hui use the incomparably powerful cultivation technique to fight through the 5th level of the confused heart forest, the 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples were both envious and startled. A cultivation technique that includes a longevity technique is often even better than a physique technique. Life techniques focus on killing, especially the Great Sage level cultivation technique, left behind by the 9 Saint Great Sage, was even more powerful. Li Qiye slightly shook his head as he watched Su Hui fight through the 5th level. The confused heart forest, it was the confused heart. How could he pass through it by fighting with a cultivation technique? That year the 9 Saint Great Sage created the confused heart forest with the purpose of tempering the Tao hearts of his disciples. The 7th level. Su Hui fought to the 7th level. This ability earned the respect of countless disciples. Even Protector Su felt satisfied. Su Hui was his disciple, his pride. Although Su Hui's talent was far inferior to Princess Li Xuangan, and his Tao attainment was also far inferior to the chief disciple Ling Qingfeng, but his current level made his master very satisfied. Boom! Not long after Su Hui fought into the 7th level, he finally couldn't hold on, unable to withstand the power of the confused heart forest, and was instantly pushed out of the forest. Just a little bit short. Su Hui was pushed out of the confused heart forest and only recovered his senses after a while. He couldn't help but roar. He felt that he could have stepped into the 8th level, but unexpectedly only reached the 7th. He had still underestimated the power of the confused heart forest. You did very well, no need to force it. Protector Su comforted his disciple. He nodded and said, being able to reach the 7th level at this age is already excellent among the young disciples. Su Hui collected himself, letting out a long breath, ominously looking at Li Qiye. It's your turn. He. Surrendering now is still an option. At this moment, a 9 Saint Demon Gate disciple shouted. Relying on him. This person hasn't even cultivated a Tao technique, passing through the 1st level would be a miracle. Su Hui spread his legs, staring intently at Li Qiye, smiling sinisterly. If you kneel down and crawl over now, I won't make things difficult for you. If you wait until later to crawl, it might be hard to say. ManhwaSummary and Protector Mo both turned their faces away, neither wanting to see this scene. Li Qiye losing was obvious, there was no doubt. Even if a 1 in a billion miracle happened, helping Li Qiye pass through the 7th level of the confused heart forest, he would still have to crawl between Su Hui's legs if he passed this literary test. But Li Qiye didn't even bother to pay attention, slowly saying, no, I'm waiting for you to crawl between my legs. Saying that, he stepped into the confused heart forest. As soon as Li Qiye stepped into the confused heart forest, a sea of fire immediately appeared before his eyes. In an instant he fell into a world of molten rock, the sound of blazing fire resonated in the illusion. His feet were burned to the point of emitting blue smoke. The pain was incredibly hard to bear, but Li Qiye didn't utter a single moan, continuing to walk forward. Li Qiye completely disregarded the confused heart forest. Having endured suffering for tens of thousands of years, he had experienced things far worse than this. During the Barren Era, he transformed into the Dark Crow. Not yet capable of strategizing for the world, he endured countless hardships, once falling into the hands of heavenly demons, once falling into the demonic grasp of the ancient Nether. He was once locked up for 10,000 years without seeing the sun, once subjected to countless tortures. Although the Dark Crow body was eternally immortal, the pain never lessened. Tens of thousands of years had passed. He had once passed through the burial ground, once entered the immortal earth, and also entered and exited demon lands and ghost domains, the most dangerous places in the mortal world. Compared to those places, what was the confused heart forest, a place used to temper the Tao heart? The confused heart forest completely failed to shake Li Qiye's Tao heart. A mortal physique trash who hasn't even cultivated a Tao technique, can pass through the 1st level. A disciple looked at the confused heart forest and sneered. But before finishing his sentence, he couldn't speak any more. In an instant, Xianxia passed through the first level. In the illusion, the sea of fire vanished, and Xianxia fell into a frozen, dark, and cold world. Outside the confused heart forest, countless 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples were waiting for Xianxia to be kicked out, but the next scene made everyone gasp. Protector Mo and ManhwaSummary were still facing away, not wanting to witness Xianxia's humiliation firsthand. However, the scene was very quiet, even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. This made them confused, not knowing what was happening, so they couldn't help but turn around to look. When they turned around, they saw an unbelievable situation. The 8th level. At this moment, a disciple trembled with fear, muttering softly. The first level, the second level, the third level. A disciple was dumbfounded, his eyes following Xianxia's steps, slowly counting in his head. The 9th level, the 10th level, the 11th level. The impossible was happening. Xianxia strode through the confused heart forest as if strolling through a deserted place, walking as easily as riding a carriage, his speed never slowing down. It was as if he wasn't walking in the confused heart forest, but strolling on a path in his own backyard. The 14th level. Finally, Xianxia calmly and confidently stepped through the confused heart forest, walking out leisurely from the last level. At this moment, everyone present was stunned, passing through all 14 levels of the confused heart forest. This was impossible. Since ancient times, no young disciple of the 9 Saint Demon Gate had ever been able to pass through all 14 levels of the confused heart forest. Even Li Xuangan, hailed as the best in talent and the firmest in Dao heart in the 9 Saint Demon Gate, couldn't do it. Impossible, impossible, absolutely impossible. Su Hui was in complete turmoil. That was fundamentally impossible, yet it truly happened before his eyes. Protector Su Hui's master, also gaped, unable to close his mouth. Even their sect master, Sunwheel Demon Emperor, couldn't pass through all 14 levels of the confused heart forest. How firm must that Dao heart be? It's nothing, just an appetizer. Xianxia returned, saying casually and at ease. It seemed like he hadn't just passed through the confused heart forest, but merely strolled through a flower garden. What's wrong? Kneel down and crawl over. Xianxia glanced at Su Hui, saying calmly. No, this is absolutely impossible. Su Hui shouted loudly. At this moment, not only Su Hui, but everyone present couldn't believe it. How could this be? Even Protector Su couldn't believe it, exclaiming. Did the confused heart forest malfunction? Definitely so. Perhaps the restrictions of the confused heart forest lost their effect. Su Hui grasped this like a life-saving straw, saying hurriedly. This time doesn't count, the confused heart forest definitely malfunctioned. Impossible. After a long time, Chief Grand Protector Yuhi finally recovered his senses, shaking his head and saying. Since the founding of the sect, the confused heart forest has never had a problem. Let me try. Saying that, he personally walked into the confused heart forest. Yuhi was indeed very strong, worthy of being the Chief Grand Protector. He had an extremely firm Dao heart, easily passing through the first 9 levels. When he reached the 10th level, his speed finally slowed down. With a crash, Yuhi was unable to pass through the entire confused heart forest. He hadn't even reached the 11th level before being pushed out. His Dao heart also couldn't withstand the disturbance of the confused heart forest. The confused heart forest did not malfunction. Finally, Yuhi shook his head, stating with extreme certainty. At this moment, he turned to look at Xianxia with a very strange expression, fundamentally unable to believe this was true. Xianxia was only a 13-year-old youth. Yet he could pass through all 14 levels of the confused heart forest. Either there was something fishy, or his Dao heart was so firm that nothing could shake it. But a 13-year-old youth couldn't possibly have such a Dao heart. How much tempering must one go through to acquire such a Tao heart? Although his aptitude was currently low, his future as a great sage was only a matter of time and opportunity. At this moment, everyone present was wide-eyed, not knowing what to do. Are you carrying a supreme treasure? At this moment, Protector Su looked at Xianxia with resentment. He fundamentally didn't believe a 13-year-old youth could pass through the confused heart forest. It must be. Su Hui said loudly. The cleansing incense ancient sect is an emperor tradition. Immortal Gate, perhaps he's hiding an immortal emperor treasure on him. Immediately, countless people looked at Xianxia, and many 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples felt this was possible. After all, the cleansing incense ancient sect was founded by Min Rin immortal emperor, perhaps they still kept 1 or 2 pieces of immortal emperor treasure today. If he truly used an immortal emperor treasure to cheat, it was indeed possible to pass through the confused heart forest. Cheating with a treasure, this round doesn't count. Protector Su said coldly. At this moment, he was certainly Xianxia. Cheated. Protector Su, that's not acceptable. Protector Mo collected himself. At this moment he didn't have time to pursue how Xianxia passed. He said in a deep voice. The literary test was decided. By you. The confused heart forest also belongs to the 9 Saint Demon Gate. Now that you've lost, you want to renege and not acknowledge it. Cheating with a treasure, of course we can't acknowledge it. Protector Su replied coldly. At this moment, Protector Mo naturally had to defend Xianxia. He said in a deep voice. Whether a treasure was used or not is irrelevant. Your 9 Saint Demon Gate didn't stipulate that one couldn't use a treasure to pass through the confused heart forest. Our disciple passed through the confused heart forest, which means he won this round. Shameless. Cheating. The cleansing incense ancient sect is a bunch of shameless people. At this moment, the 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples fundamentally didn't believe Xianxia could pass through the confused heart forest, so many of them shouted. Protector Mo didn't want to argue with them, turning to Yu He and saying. Protector Yu He, did the cleansing incense ancient sect disciple win this round? This. Yu He was somewhat conflicted. He didn't believe Xianxia could truly pass through the confused heart forest. However, the 9 Saint Demon Gate didn't stipulate that one couldn't use a treasure to pass through the confused heart forest. I walk the straight path, sit upright, my heart is clear before heaven. Just then, Xianxia said calmly. Unlike the people of the 9 Saint Demon Gate, who lose a bet and don't admit it, can't afford to lose. You think I'm hiding a treasure, then go find it. If you find a treasure, it's yours. Yu He pondered for a moment, raised his head, and said in a deep voice to Xianxia. If you want to prove your innocence, our 9 Saint Demon Gate has a method. The founder once left behind a treasure, called the Immortal Bone Mirror, which can illuminate all fundamental origins. If you are willing to be illuminated by the Immortal Bone Mirror, assuming you truly have a treasure on you, this mirror will surely reveal it. I agree to use the Immortal Bone Mirror to illuminate. Protector Su was the first to agree, saying. If the Immortal Bone Mirror doesn't reveal anything, it proves he isn't carrying a treasure. That's right, not daring to be illuminated is cheating. The 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples all chimed in. You are truly pathetic. Xianxia looked at them and smiled in reply. Very well. You want to illuminate, I will let you illuminate. Bring it out. Yu He saw Xianxia agree, and immediately sent someone to fetch the Immortal Bone Mirror. This item had a very significant background. Rumored to be a legacy from the Barren Era, honed by an immortal emperor. The fundamental power of the Immortal Bone Mirror was tens of thousands of times stronger than the original appearance mirror. The Immortal Bone Mirror was invited out. Immortal script was moving on the shiny mirror surface, and the entire mirror emitted a terrifying aura. Even a superior being like Yu He was struck with dread by its might. The immortal bone mirror shone upon Li Qiye's body, revealing his longevity wheel and fate palace one by one. The longevity wheel rotated slowly, the blood energy was normal. And the mortal fate palace was still unopened. Finally, Yuhi came to a conclusion. Mortal physique, mortal wheel, mortal fate, the fate palace is unopened, he has not cultivated the Tao. He also doesn't carry any immortal emperor treasure. The lowest realm of a cultivator is opening the palace. Once a cultivator cultivates, even if their aptitude is extremely poor, they can open their fate palace in as little as 1 day, or at most 8 to 10 days. Yet, Li Qiye's fate palace was still unopened, a clear sign that he had never cultivated. Under the immortal bone mirror, Li Qiye had nothing to hide, everything was exposed in everyone's eyes. Protector Su, Protector Yu, are you satisfied now? Protector Mo said coldly. Being forced to use the immortal bone mirror could be considered an insult to the cleansing incense ancient sect. My apologies. Yuhi was still considered a man of good demeanor. He nodded slightly and replied, Li Qiye did not cheat. Having received Yuhi's acknowledgement, everyone present had nothing more to say. However, they still found it hard to believe that a 13-year-old boy could pass through the heart calamity forest. A person who had not cultivated the Tao, possessing a mortal physique, mortal wheel, and mortal fate, was merely trash in the eyes of all cultivators. Yet that trash was able to cross the heart calamity forest. But this impossible. Su Hui could not accept this fact. Li Qiye glanced at him and slowly said, it seems you are unconvinced, but it doesn't matter. I will make you obediently crawl over. What's so special about the heart calamity forest? Only a fool like you would only reach the 7th level. Open your eyes and watch your grandpa walk across. One more time. Having said that, he turned around and stepped into the heart calamity forest again. Immediately, countless eyes stared intently at the heart calamity forest, everyone afraid of missing even the smallest detail. The 1st level, the 2nd level, the 3rd level. At this moment, Nanhuiran's eyes moved with Li Qiye's steps, his mouth continuously counting Li Qiye's progress. The 14th level. Finally, Nanhuiran shouted loudly. Although this was the 2nd time he had witnessed the miracle with his own eyes, he was still as shocked as before. This was truly a freak. Everyone was silent. Even a person like Yuhi fell silent. After being illuminated by the immortal bone mirror, Yuhi understood. Li Qiye's talent and physique were insufficient for cultivating the Tao, but he possessed a Tao heart so steadfast that no one could compare to it or shake it. What kind of tempering must a 13-year-old boy have undergone to possess such a Tao heart? Yuhi couldn't believe it. He had cultivated the Tao for more than 1,000 years, and even he could hardly possess such a Tao heart. Crawl over. Li Qiye returned. Stood with his legs apart, glanced at Su Hui, and said flatly, You. Su Hui immediately trembled all over, his face extremely pale. If he crawled between Li Qiye's legs right in front of countless people, where would he put his face in the future? Our 9 Saint Demon Gate loses. If one gambles, one must accept the consequences. Yuhi nodded lightly and said, Su Hui, you were the one who demanded the bet from the start, now fulfill your promise. Su Hui nearly fainted. Now that even Protector Yu had spoken, his master couldn't save him anymore. His face alternated between red and green. Finally, he clenched his teeth and knelt down in front of Li Qiye. His body remained stiff for a long time. This was the most humiliating period of his life. Su Hui finally had to crawl through Li Qiye's legs. The moment Su Hui crawled through, Li Qiye lifted his foot and kicked Su Hui, looking down at him and saying, Those who respect me an inch, I respect them a foot. But if someone offends me an inch, I will offend them a foot. So-called genius disciples are nothing in my eyes, and the 9 Saint Demon Gate is nothing either. After speaking, Li Qiye turned and swaggered away. Gasp! Su Hui trembled all over, spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, and immediately collapsed to the ground. He was so enraged that he fainted. Huir! Protector Su rushed over, held Su Hui, and massaged him to help him. Everyone present was stunned. A piece of trash with a mortal physique was acting so aggressively and arrogantly. This was truly hard to imagine and shouldn't be possible. Yet, Li Qiye only had a mortal physique, hadn't even cultivated the Tao, dared to be so arrogant, and even showed disdain for the 9 Saint Demon Gate. Returning to the main peak, Protector Su, Yu He, and Protector Mo returned to their original seats. Li Qiye was already sitting there leisurely, his sitting posture very stylish, making the disciples of the 9 Saint Demon Gate all want to beat him up. Protector Su stared fixedly at Li Qiye, his frightening eyes filled with venomous resentment. His beloved disciple had been stimulated, so he, as the master, naturally shared the same hatred. Li Qiye daring to humiliate his disciple was equivalent to humiliating him. At this moment, Protector Mo and Manhwa felt something strange. Li Qiye had only entered the cleansing incense ancient sect a few days ago, yet he was extremely arrogant and overbearing, making others think he was an arrogant fool simply seeking death. But now, looking back, he didn't seem to be merely arrogant. The words he spoke simply stated the truth. This made Protector Mo and Manhwa suddenly unable to comprehend and feel that Li Qiye was unfathomable. He was only a mortal with an uncultivated Tao, without any backing. What did he rely on to be so arrogant and to antagonize the 9 Saint Demon Gate? The literary test has passed. So let's try the martial test. Li Qiye gently tapped the table, speaking with a faint smile. Li Qiye was too conceited. If it weren't for his previous display, the spittle of the 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples would probably have been enough to drown him. But now, the disciples of the 9 Saint Demon Gate were all silent. Li Qiye's recent performance not only humiliated Su Hui but also heavily slapped the face of the 9 Saint Demon Gate. Yu He looked at Li Qiye strangely. He was a powerhouse qualified to be titled a king marquis, a major figure who commanded the wind and clouds. In one region, what kind of storms had he not experienced? Before he felt Li Qiye was utterly foolish, arrogant to the point where others might think he was mentally ill, but upon careful reconsideration now, he seemed to genuinely have some capital. A mortal who hasn't cultivated the Tao, what does he rely on to provoke the 9 Saint Demon Gate? Could the cleansing incense ancient sect have another trump card? Yu He was the chief protector, and he immediately dismissed that thought. The situation of the cleansing incense ancient sect in recent years was well known to the 9 Saint Demon Gate. If the cleansing incense ancient sect still had a hidden strategy sufficient to challenge the 9 Saint Demon Gate, they wouldn't have been in this predicament for the past few years, nor would they be dependent on the Baotan Upper Kingdom. Furthermore, regarding Li Qiye's entry into the cleansing incense ancient sect, the 9 Saint Demon Gate had precise information. Li Qiye merely used the cleansing incense ancient token to become the chief grand disciple, and even the 6 great elders of the cleansing incense ancient sect didn't welcome him. Yu He simply couldn't figure out what a person without backing or support could rely on. After regaining his composure, Yu He slowly said, "Currently, junior nephew Su's body is unwell. If you want a martial test, we will change opponents for you. Protector, I'm fine." At this moment, Su Hui stood up again. He stood straight, his face pale but his head held high. When his eyes met Li Qiye's, they were filled with venomous resentment. He wished he could tear Li Qiye to shreds, even bite him to death. He had been humiliated by Li Qiye. He swore to kill Li Qiye with his own hands. He wanted Li Qiye to suffer a fate worse than death. He wanted to use Li Qiye's blood to wash away his humiliation. Su Hui stood up straight to maintain his last shred of confidence. firmly raising his head and saying to Yu He, "Protector, I can still fight." Yu He slightly frowned. He knew exactly what Su Hui was thinking. He slowly said, "Junior nephew Su, your current condition is not suitable for battle." This matter was very important to the 9 Saint Demon Gate. Li Qiye had already won one round. "Brother Yu, this child has a firm resolve. Even if he suffers a setback, he won't give up, and he won't shrink back when facing difficulties. Give him another chance." Protector Su immediately sought an opportunity for his disciple. Su Hui bit his lip. His voice full of certainty, "Protector, if I make any mistakes, I will atone with death." To seek revenge, he made a military pledge. Yu He pondered for a moment. Among the young disciples, Su Hui had reached the true fate realm, and was progressing towards the flower canopy realm. It could be said that for his age, he was already outstanding in the 9 Saint Demon Gate. Among the young disciples, there weren't many stronger than him, especially since he cultivated the Grand Sage level Fate technique, Fissured Disciple Sword Art. Yu He was very clear about the power of this sword art. If Su Hui truly fought desperately, let alone the Cleansing Incense ancient sect, there were few disciples in the 9 Saint Demon Gate who could defeat him. Only true geniuses like Ling Qingfeng possessed such strength. "Brother Yu, this child has always been very strong. He absolutely won't make a mistake. Give him a chance," Protector Su hastily said. Yu He thought carefully. If even Su Hui going all out wasn't enough, then only a genius like Ling Qingfeng or Princess Li Yanxuan herself would have 100% chance of winning. Moreover, Li Qiye had never cultivated the Tao. Yu He didn't believe Li Qiye could defeat a true Fate Realm expert who also cultivated a Grand Sage level technique with mere martial arts. "All right. You may begin the fight." Yu He, after much thought, agreed to Su Hui's request. In the arena, Su Hui glared at Li Qiye venomously. At this moment, he wished he could tear Li Qiye's tendons and skin and chop his body into 1,000 pieces. This match was very important, so people like Yu He all attended. Everyone was virtually holding their breath, staring fixedly at the two of them. Protector Mo and Nanhuiren didn't believe Li Qiye could win against Su Hui. After all, Su Hui was a true Fate Realm powerhouse, and more terrifyingly, he cultivated a Grand Sage level technique. Li Qiye had only entered the Cleansing Incense ancient sect a few days ago, hadn't even cultivated the Tao, and couldn't possibly defeat Su Hui. Can he win against senior brother Su? Li Qiye's feat of crossing the 14 levels of the Heart Calamity Forest made the 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples feel somewhat uncertain. A senior brother shook his head and replied, "That's impossible. A mortal defeating a cultivator, such a thing has never happened since ancient times. Unless he possesses immortal Emperor True Energy, but that's also unrealistic. Even if he had immortal Emperor True Energy, he wouldn't have enough potent blood energy to stimulate it." Exactly. Someone who hasn't cultivated any Tao technique, how could they possibly stimulate immortal Emperor True Energy? So even if he had immortal Emperor True Energy, it wouldn't matter. Senior brother Su's fissured disciple sword art is extremely terrifying, immensely profound, and fiercely domineering. If he starts fighting desperately, unless it's the princess or the grand senior brother taking action, no other disciple in the 9 Saint Demon Gate can defeat him. A senior brother who had previously sparred with Su Hui nodded in agreement. Another 9 Saint Demon Gate disciple who didn't believe Li Qiye could win spoke up, "Senior brother Su's golden condor physique, although only a post-heaven physique, possesses immense speed. If we only compare speed and attack, senior brother Su's reputation is very prominent among his peers." Cultivators placed great importance on physique. Physiques were classified as pre-heaven and post-heaven, good and bad, and were ranked from lowest to highest: mortal physique, post-heaven physique, pre-heaven physique, king physique, saint physique, immortal physique. The most common in the world were mortal physiques. Most mortals had mortal physiques like Li Qiye, who were the weakest in terms of blood, energy and physique. Su Hui let out a long shout. Around his body, streams of sword light quickly surged up. They transformed into a giant sword barrier, each stream of sword light resembling a circulating divine sword around him. In front of him, it looked like an extremely dense fortress that no one could breach. Open. Su Hui opened his mouth and spat out a divine sword. It changed slightly and immediately transformed into 8 different divine swords floating in the air, each 100 truong tall, giving the feeling that they could split the entire earth. Fisher Disciple Sword Art, Divine Flaming Gold Sword. A disciple couldn't help but exclaim with admiration, Senior Brother Su's true energy is transformed from a complete Tao pattern of flaming gold divine stone. The Divine Flaming Gold Sword focuses on attack, and the Fisher Disciple Sword Art focuses on defense. In our 9 Saint Demon Gate, besides people like the Grand Senior Brother, I'm afraid hardly anyone can defeat Senior Brother Su. A cultivator's treasures were divided into true weapons and fate weapons. True weapons referred to the true fate's weapons, while fate weapons referred to ordinary fate weapons. True weapons were always stronger than fate weapons. Seeing this sight, Protector Mo also fell silent, while Manhwaran lightly sighed. With such cultivation, technique, and true weapon, Lichia's hope was almost zero. In Su Hui's situation, let alone Manhwaran, even Protector Mo himself couldn't possibly break through Su Hui's defense with just 1 or 2 moves. And if the defense couldn't be broken, he would have to face the tempest-like onslaught of the Grand Sage-level technique. Su Hui pointed his sword at Lichia and screamed wildly. Come on, you beast. Today, I'm going to chop you into 1,000 pieces. Tui, tui. Lichia spat into his palm and rubbed it, a crude action that was completely different from his usual calm and composed demeanor. Chop into 1,000 pieces. Lichia calmly replied, you alone are not enough. Let me beat you into a pig's head so your parents won't recognize you. After saying that, he slowly pulled out the snake-beating rod. Seeing Lichia pull out the snake-beating rod, Manhwaran nearly fainted. Wasn't this the fire poker from the cleansing incense ancient sect's ancestral hall? He had been hoping Lichia would use the Chi Men saber, perhaps its magic would still have a chance to help Lichia draw this battle, and maybe a miracle would happen. But Lichia didn't use the Chi Men saber, he used the fire poker. Wasn't this equivalent to seeking death? Su Hui could probably cut that rod in half with a light swipe of his divine flaming gold sword. As for Protector Mo, there was no need to speak. Lichia had absolutely no hope. He had only one plan: if Lichia's life was in danger, he had to save him regardless of the cost. A 9 Saint Demon Gate disciple scornfully exclaimed, the cleansing incense ancient sect has truly declined. They dare to use an old wooden stick to fight against Senior Brother Su's divine flaming gold sword. Because Lichia's crossing of the Heart Calamity Forest had left a deep impression on Yuhi, his eyes narrowed. He opened his heavenly sight, focusing carefully on the wooden stick. He was genuinely afraid that this wooden stick was a treasure refined by an immortal emperor. But no matter how he observed it, the wooden stick was just a wooden stick. It had no Tao technique refinement, no technique enhancement, and was an extremely ordinary stick that couldn't be more normal. Yuhi felt utterly perplexed. A wooden stick dares to fight against a true weapon of the true fate realm. This was simply ignorance of the vastness of the world, truly courting death. As for Protector Su, he sneered. Lichia was indeed seeking death. His disciple could kill Lichia with a single strike. Lichia calmly pointed the snake-beating rod straight at Su Hui and fiercely said, Kid, come here, let your grandpa beat your ass into pieces. I'll kill you. Su Hui screamed wildly. In an instant the 8 divine swords merged into one. Clang, the sound of the sword resonated throughout the sky. A sword strike slashed down, carrying countless flames, as if wanting to burn the large arena to ashes. It's over. Nanhuaran didn't dare to look further when he saw this strike. With this sword strike, he was afraid not even Li Qia's bones would remain. It seemed Su Hui wanted to kill Li Qia with one move. Good. Li Qia paid no attention at all. He let out a strange howl and quickly rushed forward, the snake-beating rod in his hand casually striking out. Senior brother Su, kill him. Seeing Li Qia's action, the 9 Saint Demon Gate disciples couldn't help but shout excitedly. If Su Hui could kill Li Qia with one strike, it would be enough to wash away all the recent humiliation. Boom! However, the tragic scene everyone imagined, the sword striking down, no bones remaining, did not occur. The snake-beating rod, once pulled out, instantly struck the weakest point on the blade of the divine flaming gold sword. The sword clanged, fell to the ground, and lay limp like a venomous snake struck at its vital spot. Kid, I will beat you into a pig's head. Su Hui still hadn't processed what happened before his eyes when Li Qia charged forward, the snake-beating rod striking Su Hui in rapid succession. Kill! Su Hui screamed frantically. He didn't retreat. The sword light around him instantly transformed into a sea of swords, attacking Li Qia. He couldn't believe this strange occurrence. Boom! But no matter how he used the grand sage-level fissured disciple sword art, it was useless. The snake-beating rod, with every strike, hit a flaw in the fissured disciple sword art, striking Su Hui's face hard. Just one strike sent blood flying, dizzying him, making his eyes see stars. Clap, clap, clap. In just an instant, Li Qia struck more than 10 times. Every strike hit Su Hui's weakest point. Su Hui was completely unable to resist, like a snake with its spine removed. His blood energy was blocked, his technique scattered, and his bones felt weak. Su Hui immediately fell to the ground, his face covered in blood from the strikes. The snake-beating rod was not a treasure or a divine weapon, it was merely a wooden stick. To strike a snake, you aim for the head. Every strike was meant to hit the opponent's vital spot, weakness, and flaws. Unless a cultivator reached the heaven origin realm, very few could avoid it. It could be said that the snake-beating rod was the bane of ordinary cultivators. This 3-foot-long snake-beating rod was a rare item in the world. In the early years of the Age of Emperors, the dark crow Li Qia had to enter the myriad ancient ominous land, spending an immense amount of effort to retrieve this rod from the ghost forest. Needless to say about Su Hui, even immortal Emperor Min Ren, before he became an immortal emperor, suffered under it. The subordinates of immortal Emperor Min Ren were beaten until their skin was torn, and their flesh was ripped, crying out loudly. As long as you broke through to the heaven origin realm, you could easily avoid this rod. If you hadn't reached the heaven origin realm, you had no choice but to be beaten. The snake-beating rod was originally just a branch growing on a small tree in the myriad ancient ominous land, developed over countless years. Although it was said that any cultivator who hadn't reached the heaven origin realm could be beaten until their skin was torn and flesh was ripped at any moment, the snake-beating rod couldn't kill people. It was because of this that the dark crow Li Qia worked so hard to retrieve this rod from the ghost forest of the myriad ancient ominous land, using it to teach those little rascals like immortal Emperor Min Ren a lesson. Clap, clap, clap. Su Hui was instantly knocked down, and Li Qia showed no mercy, striking Su Hui's body fiercely. Immediately, Su Hui was beaten miserably, his body covered in wounds, lying on the ground unable to get up. This scene stunned everyone. Yu He was horrified. He hurriedly used his heavenly sight to observe the snake-beating rod, but it remained just a wooden stick, without any divine power fluctuations, no circulating laws, and no sealing forbidden techniques. It was just an extremely ordinary wooden stick. Of course, Yu He couldn't see through an item like the snake-beating rod. Since ancient times, the number of people who had seen it with their own eyes was extremely few. If Xianxia hadn't lived for millions of years, entered countless ominous lands, and learned many shocking secrets, he wouldn't have known the magic of the snake-beating rod either. In the eyes of those who didn't know its value, the snake-beating rod was just a very ordinary wooden stick. "I'll kill you." Although beaten to a pulp and unable to get up, Su Hui was still fierce, screaming wildly. Suddenly, two sharp claws emerged from beneath his ribs, grabbing straight at Xianxia's chest. These two claws seemed capable of easily piercing through Xianxia's body. Su Hui originally possessed the golden condor physique because his father was a golden condor that cultivated the Tao, so within Su Hui's body, a pair of golden condor claws was always hidden, capable of suddenly attacking and killing the enemy. Bang! The snake-beating rod easily struck the golden condor claws, making them like venomous snakes struck at their vital spot. Initially fierce and formidable, they now drooped down painfully and limply after being struck. Courting death. Xianxia shouted coldly. "Ft!" A sound rang out. Two short knives immediately stabbed through Su Hui's shoulders and into the ground, immobilizing him. "Do you think killing me is easy? Today, I will whip you mercilessly." Xianxia held the snake-beating rod, saying fiercely, "Enough." At this moment, Protector Su could no longer endure it and hurriedly jumped into the arena, shouting loudly. Xianxia glanced at him and said calmly, "What? Your child can't beat me, so the old man wants to personally enter the fray. Little Junior, don't be arrogant." Protector Su's eyes were filled with hatred and resentment. He said gloomily, "Release him, or today, this protector will personally chop you down." Hearing this, Xianxia slowly turned his gaze to Protector Su, calmly replying, "Just now, I might still have spared his life, but now you threaten me, so I will kill him." No sooner had he finished speaking than Xianxia took hold of the short knives and sliced straight into Su Hui's flesh and bone. A. Su Hui screamed miserably. The two short knives crisscrossed, continuously carving Su Hui into 5 pieces. The knife tips scraped against the arena floor, sparking fire, and fresh blood stained the ground red. "Huir!" Protector Su screamed. He never dreamed that Xianxia would kill without hesitation, showing no restraint in killing his disciple. "Little beast, die!" Protector Su roared with fury, his blood energy surging into the sky. In an instant, a divine sword thousands of truong long appeared, slashing straight down at Xianxia's head. Seeing this sight, Protector Mo was scared out of his wits. It was too late to use his strength to save Xianxia. Boom! Just as this sky-breaking sword appeared, a giant foot suddenly stomped down. Its power was unstoppable. Even if the person was a hero or a king marquis, and even a true person or a saint emperor, they would be just an ant under that foot. No. Protector Su only managed a tragic scream. His body was crushed into a pile of minced meat by the giant foot, dying instantly. Everyone was stunned by this scene, because the stomping foot was not Xianxia's, but belonged to one of the 4 gigantic stone statues in the arena. They never expected that a cultivator with the strength of a hero or king marquis like Protector Su would be killed with one stomp. Impossible. The development was too fast. Chief Protector Yuhi was horrified. His blood energy erupted, slashing straight at the stone statue, attempting to save Protector Su. But the foot that crushed Protector Su to death seemed indifferent. It lifted and stomped straight down. Bang! A sound rang out. A powerful king marquis like Yuhi was kicked straight into the main peak, blood splattering non-stop. "Don't be arrogant." At the same time, a sound like thunder roared, seemingly carrying all the laws of heaven and earth. Divine light filled the sky. A person instantly appeared in midair, a dazzling divine light emanating from behind his head. as if it could boil the seas and overturn the rivers. Grand Elder. All the disciples of the 9 Saint Demon Gate cried out in terror. That Grand Elder immediately brought his hand down. The palm print carrying supreme divine might, suppressing the 8 desolations, and striking the stone statue. Another bang sound rang out. The stone statue raised its hand and swatted the palm print, shattering it. The blood of that Grand Elder of the 9 Saint Demon Gate sprayed, staining a corner of the sky. He was struck flying on the spot. Even a person with terrifying strength like him couldn't withstand a single blow from the stone statue. This scene shook everyone present. Regardless of whether they were protectors, elders, or disciples of various generations. They were all dumbfounded. The Grand Elder was struck flying in a flash. It was truly unimaginable. The stone statue in the 9 Saint Demon Gates arena suddenly took action, crushing Protector Su. With one foot, kicking away Yuhi with one kick, and swatting away the Grand Elder with one palm. It was truly terrifying. And after the stone statue swatted away the Grand Elder, it stood still in its original spot, as if nothing had happened. Xianxia stood calmly in the middle of the arena, leisurely speaking. I said it. If your 9 Saint Demon Gate acts out of line, I won't hesitate to flip your 9 Saint Demon Gate upside down. Protector Mo and ManhwaSummary were both scared silly. They never dreamed that such a terrifying thing would happen. The most terrifying thing was that the stone statue of the 9 Saint Demon Gate actually directly attacked and struck their own sex Grand Elder, completely shattering their normal perception. Boom. Although the Grand Elder was injured, his blood energy was still strong. He immediately flew up into the sky, seemingly ready to fight the stone statue desperately. In truth, even the Grand Elder himself was frightened. Since when did their 9 Saint Demon Gate stone statue directly attack their sex disciples? Elder, stop making trouble. Those 4 stone statues are the guardian gods of our 9 Saint Demon Gate. Just at this moment, a majestic voice rang out from the deepest part of the 9 Saint Demon Gate. Sect Master. Hearing this voice, everyone in the 9 Saint Demon Gate knew who it was. It was the voice of the Sect Master, the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign, the leader of a generation of outstanding genius disciples. The Grand Elder quickly stopped, staring intently at the 4 stone statues, his heart filled with doubt. After hearing the Sect Master's words, all the disciples of the 9 Saint Demon Gate were extremely confused, let alone the high-level elders. Because they had never heard anyone say that the 9 Saint Demon Gate had guardian gods, and what made everyone bewildered was the fact that the guardian gods actually attacked their own sex disciples. Elder Protector Yu, please invite young Masterly to the Heavenly Hall for a conversation. I wonder what young Masterly thinks. The majestic and powerful voice rang out once more. Hearing the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign's invitation, Xianxia smiled faintly and slowly replied, since someone knows how to recognize genuine worth, talking a bit is fine. Chief Grand Protector Yu. He hurriedly stepped forward to invite Xianxia to the Heavenly Hall. The more he looked at Xianxia, the more he felt a chill. This 13-year-old boy was truly too unorthodox. The Heavenly Hall was the most important place in the 9 Saint Demon Gate. All crucial major decisions that needed discussion had to be organized here. Only elders were qualified to attend meetings in the Heavenly Hall. Naturally, Protector Mo and ManhwaSummary were not qualified to enter the Heavenly Hall. Because the Heavenly Hall was located in the deepest part of the 9 Saint Demon Gate. And Xianxia couldn't fly. A powerful Grand King Marquis like you, he had to sit down, stoop his back, and carry Xianxia as he flew. At this time, all the elders had gathered in the Heavenly Hall. Divine light flickered from their bodies, their longevity wheels rose and fell, and streams of laws circulated around their bodies, seemingly evolving a miniature world. They had all reached the true person level, absolutely no longer just king marquises. A king marquis could single-handedly annihilate or suppress the cleansing incense ancient sect, so how much stronger was a true person? The foundation of the 9 Saint Demon Gate was truly astonishing, no wonder they could now control the ancient Ox land. The cleansing incense ancient sect fundamentally lacked the strength to compete with the 9 Saint Demon Gate. Regardless of whether they were king marquises or true persons, Xianxia still acted as if nothing was remarkable, sitting leisurely in the heavenly hall. Since the myriad ages, no one has ever been able to communicate with the guardian gods of our 9 Saint Demon Gate. The voice of the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign rang out again, but no one could see the figure of this sect master. Xianxia shook his head and spoke. I don't like talking to people who hide their faces. His words made the faces of all the elders present sink. If Protector Mo were standing here, he would surely be scared senseless. The Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign was a very terrifying person. All the elders of the Cleansing Incense ancient sect were constantly apprehensive in front of the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign, but this young brat Xianxia acted as if the heavens were beneath him, speaking without thinking. It's truly not that I don't want to meet young Master Li. It's just that I am currently in secluded cultivation, and it's inconvenient to meet the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign, who usually sat on the authoritative pinnacle, commanding the entire ancient Ox land, was not angry at all at this moment, patiently explaining. Xianxia chuckled, nodded and replied, that's fine. I won't make things difficult for you. At least I'm a reasonable person. Seeing Xianxia's arrogant attitude, the elders of the 9 Saint Demon Gate were all greatly annoyed. Their demon sovereign possessed formidable authority and strength. Many king marquises and true persons in the ancient Ox land didn't dare to act presumptuously in front of him, but now, a 13-year-old brat dared to speak so aggressively to the demon sovereign in the heavenly hall. The Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign said calmly, I would like to hear how young Master Li was able to communicate with the guardian gods of our 9 Saint Demon Gate. The elders here were all full of questions, as they had never heard of this matter, nor did they know that their 9 Saint Demon Gate had guardian gods. At this point, the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign spoke again to explain. The 9 Saint Demon Gate has 4 guardian gods, which are the 4 stone statues in the arena. They were invited by our ancestor to guard the 9 Saint Demon Gate. Moreover, they are there to suppress the earth vein and the heaven and earth essence below the 9 Saint Demon Gate's arena. However, since the establishment of our sect, those 4 guardian gods have never displayed any divine power except for today. Speaking of this, the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign's voice became solemn, and the eyes of the elders all focused on Xianxia. They couldn't believe that since the myriad ages, the 4 guardian gods, who had always been silent, suddenly took action to help Xianxia. The elders of the 9 Saint Demon Gate looked at Xianxia with increasing inner frustration. Why could a person with a mortal physique, mortal wheel, and mortal fate like Xianxia communicate with their 9 Saint Demon Gate's guardian gods? This truly defied heavenly logic. If Xianxia were a disciple of the 9 Saint Demon Gate, it would be somewhat acceptable, but he was a disciple of another sect. Their guardian gods, for some unknown reason, protected an outsider. Not only crushing Protector Su to death, but also heavily injuring Yuhi and the Grand Elder. How could a series of events like this not fill the stomachs of the elders with frustration and annoyance? The voice of the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign rang out again. Young Master Li, could you tell us the secret to communicating with our sect's guardian gods? Xianxia smiled, shook his head, and replied, the secret to communication. I don't have any secret. The guardian gods are yours, you should know better than me. Xianxia, of course, couldn't tell the secret within to people like the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign. When he was the Dark Crow living in the desolate era, he had to expend countless efforts to set up a shocking scheme, finally escaping the immortal Devil Cave. But even during those millions of years, he underwent countless hardships, floating and sinking in the river of time. He understood one principle: one must have powerful strength to control one's own fate. In the past, his soul was trapped in the Dark Crow, making it impossible to cultivate, so he had to use all sorts of means to protect himself. Fortunately, he had entered places no one dared to enter, learned many magical secrets, and from there, he meticulously planned and set up strategies to protect his future. The 4 stone statues, the guardian gods of the 9 Saint Demon Gate, were one of his earth-shattering methods. That year, he spent a lot of effort to retrieve the 4 elephant stone figures from the old earth. These 4 statues once escorted and protected his safety for countless years. Later, the 9 Saint Grand Sage, the founder of the 9 Saint Demon Gate, wholeheartedly guarded immortal Emperor Min Ren. During the journey until immortal Emperor Min Ren bore the heaven's will, he had performed many great services. The 9 Saint Grand Sage always coveted Li Qiye's 4 elephant stone figures, pestering him countless times, begging and tempting him for the 4 elephant stone figures. After immortal Emperor Min Ren established his reign and ruled the 8 desolations, Li Qiye, mindful of the 9 Saint Grand Sage's loyalty, dedication, and countless contributions, and the several times he risked his life to save the day, lent the 4 elephant stone figures to the 9 Saint Grand Sage to guard the sect and shelter future generations. The 9 Saint Grand Sage, upon obtaining the 4 elephant stone figures, immediately arranged them to suppress the earth vein of the 9 Saint Demon Gate, while also allowing the 4 elephant stone figures to absorb the heaven and earth essence there to nurture themselves. However, that year, the 9 Saint Grand Sage and Li Qiye had an agreement: unless the 9 Saint Demon Gate faced a catastrophe of sect annihilation, the 4 elephant stone figures would absolutely not emerge. The 4 elephant stone figures were not the personal servants of the 9 Saint Demon Gate, they would not escort or protect any of the 9 Saint Demon Gate's descendants. The 9 Saint Demon Gate, sheltered by the colossal monster that was the cleansing incense ancient sect, developed quite well. Later, the cleansing incense ancient sect declined, but the 9 Saint Demon Gate was an independent sect and wasn't dragged down with it. Therefore, although there were some ups and downs, they never faced a catastrophe of sect annihilation. It was precisely because of this that the 4 elephant stone figures remained firmly suppressing the earth vein of the 9 Saint Demon Gate, and until yesterday, they had never displayed any divine power. The 4 elephant stone figures were personally brought out of the old earth by Li Qiye. He naturally knew how to contact the 4 elephant stone figures. Therefore, he spent effort climbing onto the shoulders of the stone figures, sitting there and chatting, which was exactly how he communicated with the 4 elephant stone figures. As for what he said, no one but him could know the secret within. If young Masterly is willing to tell us the incantation to communicate, the 9 Saint Demon Gate will absolutely not treat young Masterly shabbily. Whatever young Masterly needs, just say the word, and our 9 Saint Demon Gate will do our utmost. The Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign was still unwilling to give up. He knew the value of the 4 guardian god statues. If they could communicate with the 4 guardian gods, the strength of the 9 Saint Demon Gate would become extremely terrifying. All the elders stared intently at Li Qiye, waiting for his answer. If 1 stone statue could easily sweat away Elder Yun, how terrifying would 4 statues acting together be? If the 9 Saint Demon Gate could truly communicate with the 4 guardian gods, the strength of their sect would become unimaginable. There's no incantation. I just simply chatted, talked about some domestic matters, just small talk. That's all. Li Qiye smiled and replied. Of course, he only vaguely mentioned what people saw, and he didn't reveal a single word of what he actually said. The elders of the 9 Saint Demon Gate and the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign didn't believe the content of Li Qiye's answer, but they couldn't do anything else, and it was absolutely impossible for them to force Li Qiye. Otherwise, they would suffer unimaginable consequences. However, I still need to tell you something. I need to draw blood and perform a blood bonding ritual with the 4 guardian god statues. While the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign was silent, Li Qiye spoke flatly. As soon as Li Qiye finished speaking, both the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign and the elders present were greatly shaken internally. What kind of joke was this? Performing a blood bonding ritual with the four guardian gods carried a completely different meaning. The Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign said frankly, "They are the guardian gods of our 9 Saint Demon Gate." Xianxia waved his sleeve and calmly replied, "They can still be the guardian gods of your 9 Saint Demon Gate, still suppressing the earth vein. It's just that when I need them for something, I'll have to borrow them for a moment. The 4 divine statues are the guardian gods of our 9 Saint Demon Gate. Besides the disciples of the 9 Saint Demon Gate, outsiders have no right." An elder couldn't help but raise his voice. How could they let someone else borrow their sex guardian gods? It was truly unbearable. Xianxia glanced at him and said calmly, "This is not for you to decide. If you feel uncomfortable, go and complain to your guardian gods." This was only because Xianxia had made a promise to the 9 Saint Grand Sage back then. Otherwise, if he swaggered off with the 4 elephant stone figures now, the 9 Saint Demon Gate wouldn't be able to stop him. "You." The elder was furious and felt extremely uncomfortable internally. The Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign suddenly interjected to mediate, saying calmly, "Young Master Li was able to communicate with the 4 guardian gods. Their awakening and emergence is not necessarily a bad thing." In truth, the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign had no other choice. He knew better than anyone else that no one could change the fact that the 4 divine statues were protecting Xianxia. Although the 9 Saint Demon Gate's strength was also very powerful, compared to the 4 divine statues, they were still somewhat inferior. One divine statue could easily swat away Elder Yun. This single incident was enough to make the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign, a highly capable leader of a generation of disciples with powerful strength, feel uncertain about the situation. This is what a smart person should do. Xianxia smiled faintly and spoke, "Don't think that my communication with your guardian gods will bring disadvantage to the 9 Saint Demon Gate. If I truly wanted to do that, you definitely wouldn't have the chance to sit here. If I were to sweep through the 9 Saint Demon Gate, unless your founder was reborn, no one could stop my advance." How powerful was the 9 Saint Demon Gate? Controlling the ancient Ox territory made countless sects in this land bow their heads. The elders of the 9 Saint Demon Gate were also incredibly powerful. Just their stomp alone was enough to make the heavens and earth shake 3 times. Not to mention the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign. Since the 3 great calamities tens of thousands of years ago, it hasn't been easy for a cultivator to achieve the true person rank, but the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign charged straight to the skies against adversity, reaching a realm that shocked everyone. However, in front of all the elders of the 9 Saint Demon Gate, and in front of a terrifying figure like the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign, Xianxia spat out such aggressive words, truly excessively arrogant. Xianxia's demeanor made the elders look at him with indignation, but Xianxia still sat there leisurely, smiling, acting as if nothing was amiss. "Since that is the case, young Master Li may proceed with the blood bonding." The Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign agreed to Xianxia. Although he was a generation's hegemon who traversed the heavens and earth, he always felt that if he didn't agree to Xianxia, the 4 guardian gods of the 9 Saint Demon Gate might leave with the Li surname fellow. Although the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign didn't know why the 4 guardian gods chose a young brat with a mortal physique, the hidden meaning behind it was absolutely not simple. "If you act according to the rules, so will I," Xianxia smiled and spoke, "Those 4 statues will remain your guardian gods." The result of this negotiation made the elders feel continuous frustration and a sense of loss, but what could they do? Should they turn against Xianxia? Their grand elder, with his formidable strength, couldn't even withstand one blow from a guardian god, and was easily struck flying. What would happen if all 4 guardian gods acted together? The more they thought about it, the less they wanted to bear the consequences of this matter. No one in the 9 Saint Demon Gate could stop the 4 guardian gods if they simultaneously attacked young Master Li. At this moment, the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign, after pondering for a moment, spoke again, our 9-saint demon gate has a sacred land, which no one has ever been able to open until now. I wonder if young Master Li is interested in taking a look. Your Majesty, you can't. As soon as the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign spoke, an elder quickly tried to dissuade him. Let young Master Li take a look, it's fine. The Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign immediately cut off the elder, his voice full of authority. Li Qiya's eyes lit up upon hearing this, and he replied, Is it the sacred cave left behind by your founder, the 9-saint Grand Sage? He suddenly recalled some past memories. That year, the old rooster head had mentioned this matter to Li Qiya, but after immortal Emperor Min Ren bore the heaven's will, Li Qiya's state was unstable, and he was about to enter slumber. He listened to the old rooster head's half-joking, half-serious talk about this matter, but having been able to nurture an immortal emperor, he wasn't very interested in such small matters and didn't agree to the old rooster head's wish. All the elders of the 9-saint demon gate looked at Li Qiya, as very few people knew about the existence of the sacred cave. That's right. Li Qiya's question startled the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign, and he said, If young Master Li can open the sacred cave, our 9-saint demon gate will reward you handsomely. Li Qiya pondered for a moment, carefully recalling what the old rooster head had told him that year, and finally nodded in agreement. I can try to open the sacred cave once. If successful, I have one condition. There is an item inside that I want. All other things will belong to your 9-saint demon gate. This. Upon hearing Li Qiya's words, even the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign pondered. An impatient elder quickly spoke, Your Majesty, this matter needs careful discussion. No. The Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign spoke decisively, If the sacred cave is opened, young Master Li can take one item as he pleases from what is inside. A clever person. Li Qiya nodded and said, When you are ready, come and find me. I will leave first. Having said that, he turned and walked straight out, leaving the heavenly hall. The Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign instructed Yu He to escort Li Qiya back. After Li Qiya had left, an elder in the heavenly hall couldn't help but speak, Your Majesty, the decision about the sacred cave was a bit too hasty. Not necessarily. The voice of the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign rang out again, Since the establishment of our 9-saint demon gate, the sacred cave has been sealed. Has anyone ever opened the sacred cave? Perhaps this is an opportunity for us. It happens to coincide with a genuine phrase left by the ancestor. The Grand Elder nodded, supporting the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign, and continued, It wouldn't hurt to try. Since your Majesty has decided, let Li Qiya try to open it. Your Majesty, what about the guardian gods? Why have we never heard of them? Are the guardian gods of our 9-saint demon gate celestial beasts or longevity? Stars? Another elder couldn't help but ask. I am not very clear either. The Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign replied, The records about the guardian gods of our sect can be said to be extremely sparse. Only a few sentences in the ancestor's secret book mention them. The ancestor only said that when our 9-saint demon gate faces a catastrophe of sect annihilation, the guardian gods will manifest their divine power. This secret book is only accessible to successive sect masters. But they manifested their divine power today. Another elder interjected. This is also where I don't understand. The Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign continued, But the guardian gods chose him, so there must be a reason for the guardian gods. This young brat is truly too unorthodox. Elder Yun, as the Grand Elder spoke, according to Yu He easily passed through the Heart Calamity Forest, both times the same way. It's truly hard to believe. Now the guardian gods choose him. It truly defies logic. Such words made the other elders also fall silent in thought. As elders, they naturally understood the Heart Calamity Forest too well. Anyone who could cross the 14 levels of the Heart Calamity Forest proved how powerful and firm their Tao heart was. This is indeed unorthodox. Another elder said, "Our 9-saint demon gate has continuously developed until today." Among the younger generation, in terms of Dao cultivation, junior nephew Lung is the highest. In terms of talent, the princess is the foremost. But the guardian gods didn't choose junior nephew Lung. Nor did they choose the princess. Instead, they repeatedly chose a young brat who hasn't cultivated the Tao and also has a mortal physique, mortal wheel, and mortal fate. Speaking of this elder couldn't help but complain a few sentences. Why would their sex guardian gods choose an outsider? In other words, even if their guardian gods chose an outsider, if they chose an unparalleled genius, it would be fine. At least internally, they would be convinced. But time and again, the guardian gods chose a young brat whom people called trash. The affairs of the ages are not for us to fully comprehend. Finally, although the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign also felt unconvinced internally, he could only utter this sentence. In his life traversing the heavens and earth, he had experienced countless major events, but even the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign himself couldn't understand the overly bizarre events that occurred today. Your Majesty, if Li Qiye can open the sacred cave, do we really have to let him freely take one treasure? An elder asked. Yes, Your Majesty. Rumor has it that there might be an immortal Emperor True weapon hidden inside the sacred cave. Some elders also spoke unwillingly. After all, this was an immortal Emperor True weapon. If he can truly open the sacred cave, then it is also the guidance of heaven's will. The Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign replied, Elder Jian said that none of us in this lifetime can open the sacred cave. Li Qiye might just be a miracle. Since we can't open it ourselves, why not let him try? Upon hearing the two words, Elder Jian, from the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign's mouth, the elders of the 9-saint Demon Gate stopped talking, because no one in the 9-saint Demon Gate had more authority than Elder Jian. Issue the command. No disciple is allowed to reveal a single word about the events that happened in the sect today. Violators will be severely punished. This is an absolute law. Finally, the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign issued such an order. They also didn't want outsiders to know too much about the 9-saint Demon Gate's guardian gods. After Li Qiye returned, their accommodation had been changed to another place. They were invited into the house used to receive the most distinguished guests of the 9-saint Demon Gate. Such hospitality could only be afforded to the kings of upper kingdoms or the emperors of ancient kingdoms. Such hospitality made Manhwaran and Protector Mo feel overwhelmed by the favor. Let alone small figures like them. Even the elder or even the sect master of the cleansing incense ancient sect coming here would not receive such a welcome. Now Protector Mo and Manhwaran both understood that all of this was because of Li Qiye that they received such treatment. When Li Qiye was escorted back by Yu He, Protector Mo and Manhwaran couldn't help but stare intently at Li Qiye for a long time, not uttering a word. They also didn't dare to ask Li Qiye what he had discussed with the Wheel Sun Demon Sovereign in the Heavenly Hall. After all, this was not a matter that their rank could inquire about. Now, besides silence, Protector Mo and Manhwaran could only be silent. In the past 2 days, Li Qiye's words had indeed been overly arrogant. First, he killed Du Yuanguang. Then he humiliated Su Hui, and even spoke wildly about wanting to destroy the 9-saint Demon Gate. Especially today, Protector Mo felt several times that this young brat Li Qiye was truly a lunatic, frighteningly foolish. However, carefully thinking about it now, looking back calmly, they finally understood that Li Qiye was fundamentally not foolish, nor overly arrogant. He was merely stating a fact. He had already calculated everything. Manhwaran and Protector Mo thought hard, but couldn't understand how Li Qiye managed to cross the 14 levels of the 9-saint Demon Gate's Heart Calamity Forest in one go. And that invincible stone figure, why did it protect Li Qiye? All these things filled the heads of the master and disciple with chaotic questions. Nan Huaran finally understood one thing: that day, when Xianxia wanted to climb onto the shoulders of the giant stone figure, he wasn't just playing. Xianxia was preparing for his action. Now, carefully reconsidering each event, Nan Huaran couldn't help but feel that his knowledge was still too shallow. If you want to say something, just say it. Seeing the master and disciple protector Emma wanting to speak but hesitating, Xianxia smiled faintly, sat comfortably in the main seat, as relaxed as if nothing had happened. Protector Mo opened his mouth to speak, but didn't know what to say. He was originally a reserved man of few words. Finally, he simply sat down on one side, not uttering a single word. Compared to the reserved Protector Mo, Nan Huaran was clearly more agile. He looked at Xianxia, opened his mouth then closed it. After a moment, he mustered the courage to stammer and ask Xianxia, did that matter succeed? What matter? It was now Xianxia's turn to be stunned by Nan Huaran, not knowing what Nan Huaran was referring to. Well, it's the matter of the marriage alliance, marrying Princess Li, Nan Huaran stammered again. You mean Li Xuangan, right? Xianxia couldn't help but curl his lip and smile, shaking his head and saying, I didn't ask about this matter, and I'm too lazy to ask. She's just a woman, why bother? Xianxia was so presumptuous that Nan Huaran didn't know what to say. One must know that Li Xuangan was the successor of the 9 Saint Demon Gate, the future demon sovereign, and the princess of the ancient Ox land. Not to mention her peerless beauty, just her king physique, king wheel, and Saint Fate were enough to make countless people admire her. Not only in the ancient Ox land, but in the entire Grand Middle region, countless young talents wished to marry Li Xuangan. The number could line up from the east to the west of the ancient Ox land. A goddess adored by 10,000 people, desired by countless people like Li Xuangan, turned into a woman insufficient for cultivating the Tao in Xianxia's mouth. How arrogant and domineering was this? However, at this moment, Nan Huaran no longer felt Xianxia was arrogant. No matter how boastful Xianxia's words were, Nan Huaran considered it natural. The things Xianxia did today had completely overturned and shattered Nan Huaran's common sense, judgment, and perception. Although Nan Huaran didn't say anything more, his eyes couldn't help but glance at the snake-beating rod on Xianxia's person. With just this ordinary-looking wooden stick, Xianxia had beaten a true Fate Realm expert like Su Hui until his skin was torn, and he was crawling and crying. The impression it made on Nan Huaran was too deep. If you want to look, go ahead. Xianxia, seeing Nan Huaran's strange gaze, was very generous. He took off the snake-beating rod, threw it to him, and said casually. Nan Huaran caught the snake-beating rod, quickly held it in his hand, and carefully observed it. At this moment, even his master, Protector Mo, couldn't help but lean in. The master and disciple studied the snake-beating rod together. But no matter what the two of them did, they could only conclude that it was just an ordinary wooden stick. Is this really the fire poker from the ancestral hall? Nan Huaran couldn't help but ask Xianxia. He couldn't believe that just with this fire poker, he could beat Su Hui until he cried like a wolf and wailed like a ghost. That's right. Xianxia nodded slightly in reply. Nan Huaran swallowed his saliva, gathered his courage, and then asked Xianxia, Senior brother, can I play with it a bit? Look at how timid you are. Hearing Nan Huaran say this, Xianxia chuckled, saying, Go ahead and play. Seeing Xianxia agree, Nan Huaran immediately swung the snake-beating rod. Protector Mo watched intently, wanting to see what was magical about this fire poker. However, Nan Huaran swung it around for a while, but the snake-beating rod in his hand didn't have the power or the precise aiming it had in Xianxia's hands. Senior brother, why does trash turn magical in your hands? Nan Huaran completely didn't understand. Why did this ordinary wooden stick become so formidable when it fell into Xianxia's hands? Li Qiye glanced at him, then slowly replied, "Sincerity brings effectiveness." He stopped there. He couldn't easily tell others the true profound meaning of the snake-beating rod. The snake-beating rod in Nan Huairan's hand naturally couldn't unleash the power it did in Li Qiye's hands. After all, the snake-beating rod was personally brought out of the ghost forest by Li Qiye. In this world, no one could understand this magical rod better than Li Qiye.